Welcome to the Michigan Golfer Show. Join us each week as we explore the people, the places, and the events that shape our great game.
We're in Brookfield, Wisconsin, at the home of the American Society for Golf Course Architects, which everybody calls ASGCA. And we're with Mark Whitney, who's the Director of Public Relations for the Society. And it's a beautiful snowy day out there, but everybody's thinking golf, right, Mark?
It's it's always a great day to think about golf, and especially on a winter afternoon.
Well, Mark, the Society does a lot of really interesting things. It has 170 members, something like that.
Right, we're 160 plus members, and it's a unique group of men and women who have really done a great deal of work, not just here in the United States or in North America, but really around the world. Our members, on average, have been designing courses for more than 25 years. They've each designed, on average, more than 40 18-hole facilities and worked on more than 100 courses, either doing redesign, renovation, master plans across the board. It's a great both breadth and depth of knowledge that our members have.
Well, it's kind of amazing to go through the list, and it's really just a who's who of American and Canadian, and I guess a couple of Mexican golf course architects.
Well, it's these are the men and women who really have helped to tell the story of what the game has been about and what the sport has been about all across the world. You go back to Donald Ross and the men that he founded the society with, now going on 65 plus years ago, to today with whether it's a young architect who has worked with someone, designed a half dozen or so courses to the point where they're eligible for membership, and then to get together each year at our annual meeting as we do each spring, and to just see the multi-generations get together and see these people go out and experience each other's work by playing various courses, but also the time that they just spend from a camaraderie standpoint, sharing stories, sharing experiences, because as anybody who's ever played golf understands, no two courses are exactly alike.
Well, there's a fascinating photograph from the very first annual meeting at Pinehurst that has Robert Trent Jones, Donald Ross, Stanley Thompson, and some other names that I recognized. William Didle, I think. Wow. So that was the first one in 1947, I guess.
I was not there.
I could have been.
But it's great to capture moments like that. It's also great then to capture the sort of the thread that continues through the generations. The people who worked with those architects, the people who now worked for the people who worked for those architects along the way, but also to go back and spend the time there. That photo was taken at Pinehurst. We try and go back there with regularity with our annual meeting. It is sort of the birthing ground for ASGCA. So it's the homeland, and to go back there, experience it, and our members to play the courses and realize that they are continuing a legacy that some really wonderful gentlemen got started back in the 40s.
One of the big awards that the Society gives out every year is called the Donald Ross Award. And this, of course, is Donald Ross. And this year, speaking of threads, it was given to Reese Jones. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. As you said, the Ross Award is the biggest award that ASGCA gives out. We started back in the late 1970s or so, and it's to an individual, certainly not necessarily a member, who has just made a great positive impact on the game of golf. Reese, this spring, will receive that award at our annual meeting down at Reynolds Plantation in Georgia. He'll become, I believe, the 6th sitting member who has actually received the award. So the award has been given to folks throughout the industry, whether it's writers, administrators, what have you, and it's just been it's great that someone like Reese, who is now known as Dr. U.S. Open for the work that he has done updating and enhancing U.S. Open courses and facilities, as well as the dozens of courses that he has literally put his fingerprints on from a new design standpoint. The impact that he has had on the game has just been tremendous. And it was an easy selection for the committee to come up with Reese as the recipient this year.
And it's interesting to see that there's a few players in addition to architects. There's writers, like the second one was given to Herbert Warren Wind.
Right, and just a couple of years ago, James Dodson, who's a wonderful writer based down in the Carolinas, received the award. And the thing that always stands out each year is that the recipient, and last year it was Bill Kubley, who's done such wonderful things within the game of golf. The passion that they expound when they talk about what they've done within the game, and it's nice of them to receive the award from ASGCA, but it allows them to tap into the feelings that they have about the game itself. And what the game comes down to, I think, is really, as you go out and you play, is the relationships that you have along the way. That as much as we hope that people will remember the courses they play and want to come back because of the course they play, what tends to bring people back are the people that they played with. And you can go out and you can play with friends, or you can meet new friends along the way, but it's that time that you're able to spend on the course with somebody else that really sort of lights the candle to bring you back another time.
Well said. It's fun hearing you talk about that, and it's making me think about some of the new initiatives that the Society has, one of which is called First Links.
Well, we've gotten involved with the First Links program, and what that has allowed architects and courses to get together on is that there is funding provided to the golf courses to have one of our members come out to their course and basically walk the land and talk about how the course might be improved. Maybe it has to do with redesign of holes. Maybe it has to do with better use of practice facility and driving range. Maybe it has something to do with the cart paths or the practice green, what have you. We're at a stage now where, with the challenges that everyone's faced from an economic standpoint in recent years, that a number of courses that would have liked to take steps in terms of renovation and master planning and things of that nature, they haven't been able to. So what the First Links program allows them to do is that where they might not have taken the step forward to contract an architect to come out and simply give them an assessment of what their facility, where their facility is at, and what changes or improvements might be made, this now answers that question, allows them to contact an architect, have the architect come out, give them their expertise, put things in writing, put a plan together, and then if the course chooses to go ahead with the recommendations or not is entirely up to them, but at least they've got literally a professional a plan put together and a set of recommendations that they can move forward with if they choose.
What a great way to use the treasure trove of knowledge and experience here.
Well, and I think and I really think that overall, to me, that's the most important thing that someone's name, ASGCA actually means. We talked about the continuation of the thread from Donald Ross and the folks on down for 6+ decades now. But what our individual members have is a knowledge, is a breadth of knowledge that I think is something that folks can take a great deal of advantage of when they are even in that discussion stage. Throughout the Midwest, as we are based in the Midwest, just a great history as well of members across Michigan and throughout the Midwest who have that kind of knowledge and who have made a positive impact on the game.
Well, you mentioned Michigan, so Michigan has quite a few people who are members here, and it's not easy to be a member, so this is a big deal. So we're thinking especially of Jerry Matthews, Ray Hearn, Paul Albanese, W. Bruce Matthews III, and I'm thinking of Paul Albanese's recent article about rethinking golf courses so that it'll bring more families into the game and introduce the game to people who have less time and less money than they used to.
It's a huge discussion that's taking place, and Paul is one of the gentlemen who's helping to continue and foster that discussion. A number of our members have looked in that regard as well. Bill Amick, who's been a member for probably far longer than Bill wants to even admit at this point, has all spent a good amount of time talking about the sustainability, shorter courses, smaller courses, that type of thing. But designing facilities, whether they are 18 holes, 9 holes, 12-hole facilities, but facilities that cater to more than just guys who want to go out, play 18 holes, and spend 4+ hours at a course. If people have fewer time, if people want to make sure and bring their families, if people want to bring their child along to introduce them to the game, do we have the facilities out there that will cater to that as well? And gentlemen like Paul are leading that discussion, also leading on the design to utilize smaller patches of land to perhaps create smaller facilities that allow people to introduce somebody new to the game before you roll them out to Oakland Hills and other such places.
You know, that makes me think of a course in Michigan that Ray Hearn designed. It's called the Strategic Fox, and it's a course. It's a par 3 course, but it's set up so that you can use all your clubs.
You know, and that to me is sort of, I think, the challenge and the positive challenge that comes from this, because there is a desire for folks, whether they have less time or what have you, to use every club in the bag. And that ability to create a facility where you can get around in a shorter amount of time, but experience everything that there is to experience within the game. And in some cases, that has to do with the challenges and the hazards of the game as well. So you feel like you've had the complete experience.
There's another new award that has been developed by the Society, and it honors designing.
The Design Excellence Recognition Program is the full name. We just rolled it out for the first time this past year, and what we encouraged our members to do was to take a project that they had worked on. Talk about the course itself, talk about, in a lot of cases, work with the course itself in designing or in putting together their application that tells the story of the work that they did on a specific project. How do you measure design excellence is something that we have talked about within a society for a number of years. And the reality of the situation is that design excellence can come about from taking 100+ acres of land and designing a brand new facility and practice facilities and everything that goes along with it. But it can also come from working with a municipality and working with a public facility to build a smaller facility that folks can play for not an exceedingly large amount of money. But design excellence can also come from a renovation side of things. It can come from taking a larger facility and realizing that the owners want to do some things differently with the land. So perhaps we redesign some of the golf holes and some of the other aspects of the course itself. So it's interesting that the half dozen courses that were recognized and they came from all over the country actually literally touch each of these areas. There's a brand new design. There's a redesign that Forrest Richardson worked on out in the San Francisco area, where he took a course and dug up the original plans and original aerial photos from the 1920s and then wanted to redesign the course and rebuild the course to as close to the specifications as possible. Wanted to make sure that the initial footprint that the architect had designed is replicated as best as possible. There's a municipal course. There's another brand new facility. So the program, without necessarily the design of the program, actually is showing off sort of the breadth of design that our members are able to work on.
Well, you know, that's so cool. The word design implies basically something subjective, and so that really gives you a chance to go pretty much any direction the society wants to.
And it also seems that the natural inclination for design is that it has to be something new, and that's not necessarily always going to be the case. Sometimes it is taking what has existed and it is restoring or refurbishing it back to how it began, how it was when it first was opened. It also might have to do with taking a course and working with the land as it exists today that might be different than it was 50 or 60 years ago, or the needs of the owner or of the community might be different than it was when the course first opened. That's an important aspect of the design work that our members do.
So many different ways it can go, but that brings me to something exciting that's going to be happening in Rio at the Olympics in 2016. Golf is returning.
Yes, at long last, and we're not partial to saying that at all around here. It's a great thing that that the Olympics or that golf is returning to the Olympic Games. It's great from our standpoint that one of our members, Gil Hans, was selected in this past year to design the course down in Rio. Not the least of which is the fact that Gil is a tremendous designer, is just a tremendous person. If you ever have the opportunity to speak with him, I encourage anyone to do so. He's a great guy to just sit and talk about the game with. It means it's going to put a different spotlight on the game itself. The international side of competition and people representing their country is something that has just grown by leaps and bounds in recent years. The challenge of the Ryder Cup, the President's events, the international events that have taken place. Even if you could just go back in the last 10 years, the excitement, the enthusiasm that's been generated by the international competition of folks representing their country, it'll be great to see that in the Olympic Games.
Well, it's going to be fun to see who the guys from Northern Ireland decide who they're playing for.
Indeed it is. Yes, and I look forward to them making that decision.
Well, the last time that golf was played in the Olympics was in St. Louis in 1904, and the course was Glen Echo, but the trophy is in Canada. And we had a chance to visit the trophy and hear some stories about the Canadians winning that match also long ago.
And again, not an event that I covered, but no, I think we all have a clear understanding of where any sort of Olympic medals belong, and especially the golden ones. And hopefully, we'll be proving that in just a few years' time.
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun to see what happens in Rio, and the society does so many things. What have we missed? What else would you like to mention?
Well, I think, in terms of sort of the day-to-day aspect, that one of the things that's very important to us is sort of the continuing education side of what we do as a society. The opportunities that that our members take advantage of, that we're able to provide to them in terms of whether it's educational sessions at the annual meeting, whether it's webinars and things of that nature, which is trying to bring different aspects of what is happening in their business to the members, whether it's the latest that has to do with drainage or construction, or how to deal with local and federal regulations as you're facing various challenges. So much work is taking place overseas these days. We have a number of our members who are working extensively in China, elsewhere in Asia, as well as South America and the Middle East. So we've got more members who are interested in doing that sort of thing. The sharing of information between each other is very important. So I think one of the things that's important to us is that realization that ASGCA designation isn't simply about what an architect has done in the past. It's very much about what they are trying to continue to do and what they are continuing to do today in making sure that they are as knowledgeable and can provide the best information to their clients and potential clients as possible as they continue to grow and evolve as the profession has.
It's interesting to hear you say that, but for some reason it reminds me of red plaid. And I was wondering, where does the fabric for the Ross Tartan red plaid jackets that are so distinctive, where does that come from?
It is the material is known as tartan Ross specifically, and I will we can establish a little cutaway. I think I can find a roll of it here as we leave. But as you are voted into as a member of the society, you are not presented, but you are sent a patch of cloth in the same design. So each member is not only is utilizing that same tartan Ross material as they design their jackets. It is very interesting to have our annual meeting together where all of the members are wearing them at the same time. Some have turned them into vests. I believe we've had a past president or two that has turned them into a pair of slacks. But it's always interesting at trade shows for the industry as a whole, where it's always easy to spot an ASGCA member because they are the ones who aren't necessarily in golf shirts, but they are wearing the well-known plaid jackets.
Plus, it makes a great group photo.
It's made some wonderful group photos over the years. It's not always easy to pick out an individual, but the group itself is always easy to spot.
Well, Mark, this has been fun. Thank you so very much for talking with us.
Thank you. Thank you for visiting.